All right, we are live. I will, as usual, just wait a couple of seconds as people trickle in. But as you come in, please, in the meantime, say hello in the chat, tell us where you're tuning in from, and be sure to switch the message to all attendees. Otherwise, only I will see it. We have a very exciting session for you guys today. All right. Well, I see a lot of people already in. Some more people are trickling in, but in the meantime, we can definitely kick off. So, hello, Finimizers, and welcome to another Finimize Live. I'm Reda, an analyst here at Finimize, and I'm super excited to host today's event on how AI can help you invest like the wealthy with our partner, Streetbeat. Now, a few things just before we kick off, little housekeeping rules. So, we really want to get to know you better. So as you're coming in, please fill out the poll that should be appearing on your screen right now. And then second of all, like I said, as people were coming in, please introduce yourself in the chat, say hello, where you're tuning in from. I'm sure we have people coming in from all over the world to today's event. And like I mentioned, please don't forget to switch the message to all attendees so we can all see your messages. Now, third thing is the format of this webinar today is that it's going to be a 15-minute discussion with our guest, followed by a 15-minute audience Q&A, which takes me to my fourth and final point. Please use the Q&A box down below in Zoom to ask your questions to our host today. And if you see a question that you like, please upvote it. That way we can go through the most upvoted questions first, and we can make sure we go through the most important questions first. So, like I mentioned, today's event is Streetbeat, an innovative AI-powered investment platform that acts like your personal investment advisor. Now, with the help of generative AI, you can come up with your own strategies or copy the trading moves of investors like politicians, who, by the way, are very good traders, the US Congress, generative AI experts, and others. Now, just a quick thing. Unfortunately, our initial speaker, Damien Scavo, is unable to join us today, but possibly could join us later. But for the time being, we are very excited to welcome Maciej Donajski, CTO and co-founder at Streetbeat, who have collaborated together, him and Damien, for over 10 years. Now, Maciej is a tech whiz with degrees in computer science and finance. He played key roles at Axway with Damien, leading to its big acquisition by Samba TV. Now, as CTO, he's all about driving innovation and driving innovative software and market growth. So with Damien, he's known for creating amazing products and basically powering the business forward and delivering great results for investors. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks, Reda, for having me. I'm super excited for our conversation.
Likewise, it's a very, very exciting topic. AI is the talk of the town everywhere you look. So very excited as well. And you know what? Let's kind of kick straight in. And
Sure.
my first question to you, perhaps a bit philosophical, but does AI, in your opinion, level the playing field between small and then large and wealthy investors, or does it widen the gap?
I I think the gap is getting smaller. It's first of all, just I want to say that it's still early days. There is a lot of hype around AI. Everybody talks about AI. It's for me as a software developer and an investor, it's the most exciting technology that I've seen in my career. Okay, that's for sure. I can say the reason why the gap is getting smaller is that if you ask wealthy people if they have a financial advisor, many of them, or much larger percentage of them, will say they do have. If you ask smaller investors that that invest lower amounts of capital, they will not have financial advisor. At the same time, what we see happening is with the growth and rise of the discretionary investing platforms like Robinhood, is that it's very easy to invest now. There's small commissions, everything is inside of the app. So it very often happens that what we joke about is that you may research for 3 weeks if you're buying a washing machine, but if you see a tip here on the tip on the bus about the stock, you go all in on the stock. So those are the things that can be fixed by AI. And another thing, just to be more concrete, is AI allows you to process the data faster. So analyze financial reports, analyze the transcripts from the earning calls. It allows you to come through the news about the stock, the analyst ratings about the stock, the price targets for the stock. Those are all input data points that may help you to make decisions. And to go through it, first of all, to find it is difficult and it's time consuming. Unless you're a professional, wealthy person that has the tools for that. And second of all, after you even find it, you have to read through it, merge through all the data, and then have some summary of the points that will help you to make an investment decision. And that is where AI shines. So the final answer is yes, it narrows the gap for sure.
Amazing. And I think I definitely agree with you on that point. And I think you described a really kind of powerful use case of AI with investing, which is, synthesizing a lot of different information to try to help you make investment decisions. And maybe related to that, are there any other kind of specific AI tools that have been particularly effective in identifying investment opportunities for wealthy individuals, high net wealth individuals, and so on?
So there are a couple of tools that can be used for equity research that are popping up. It's still very early days. Of course, at Streetbeat, we're working on our own set of tools. So that's our major focus. And what we try to do is to provide the data-driven approach to investing. So from the one hand, we're going to ingest a lot of data sets that sometimes even individual investors will not have access to, because those are data sets that we have to pay and you have to pay for, sometimes significant amount of money. So we kind of crowdsource this access to the data that later we can distribute to people, but not directly, but through the AI filter that will get the exact information that you may be looking for. So to answer your question, we're mostly focused on the developing our internal tools that can be used within Streetbeat, but we see that there are research tools already popping up that can look through your portfolio and, for example, score it. That can analyze the stock performance for you by looking at the time series of pricing, but it's very fragmented. And still not very mature. We at Streetbeat are 1 year on production with the investors using our app, and we kind of have end-to-end approach, which is that you can do your research and you can do the investment in a single place, and then have this investment being monitored constantly in the same place. So we don't have to go through multiple tools, multiple data sources to collect and later execute on another venue like your brokerage platform.
I think that's a great segue to the next question I want to ask, which is, how accessible are some of these AI tools to the average investor?
So I would say not really accessible. As I said, I think that the biggest problem right now is fragmentation. It's early days, and it's a wild west in the startup world for that. Major players, major brokers still do not have it at all, or they're just started to experiment with it. Startups go for small niche applications. So there is not really something that can give you the insights and the full investment experience in one place. It's still something that is being developed. And it will improve, of course, with time. Yeah, I think still we have a lot of work to do to get us more accessible.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And maybe kind of related to that, or maybe to try to make this, very useful for some of our listeners today is, how can individual investors start to integrate some of these AI tools available out there into their investment process? What steps would you recommend that they take?
Mm-hmm. So Finimize is, of course, a community of people interested in finance and experts to some degree in the area. So they most likely already have some investment strategies that they follow. Okay, so I feel that the best approach is to get a tool, and if it's just for stock screening, try it for stock screening and asking the questions. Usually those are conversational UIs. Ask the question that you may be asking yourself and compare the answer with what you would come up yourself. There is some investment to it, but this is the way to gain some trust, because I feel that that's for example for the stock screening. Then for the portfolio building, if you have a strategy, how you weight the portfolios, just ask the same question to the AI tool that provides this and see if the result is matching your expectations. So basically, take steps from your investment process, whatever it is, try to replace one step of your investment process with an AI tool just by asking questions or whatever UI it provides, and be very diligent in what the response is and whether it matches your expectations. And if you see that it's exceeding your expectations or matching your expectations, then this is probably something that you can already put into this one step of your investment process. So that's how I would approach this. So just try to put it inside of one of the step in your algorithm to decide on the investments, whether it's a single stock, whether it's a building portfolio, whether it's hedging or whatever you're doing right now for your investments.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And maybe just you can correct me if these are good examples or not. So like when you say in the stock screening, for example, you can ask the AI, hey, give me some examples of AI stocks that are cheaper than Nvidia, right? And then you can kind of see what the AI results sort of spit out. Or in the portfolio
Exactly.
case, you add an asset or an asset class to your portfolio, and maybe you can ask it, hey, can you give me what are the correlations with all the other positions I have in my portfolio?
Exactly. Or you have a thesis that you wanted to invest in a defense sector, okay, and you want to discover what stocks, what ETFs are in the defense sector, and then you want to compare them by some metrics that you usually compare, whether it's a technical analysis, whether it's a fundamental analysis, and you ask for the P ratio, you ask about the debt of those companies. And this data is somewhere on Yahoo Finance and in other places, but to discover all of it and just put it in a table, put it in a one place, it requires a lot of work that you can probably do it. But AI is emerging as this new kind of software that it's no longer just the tool that you have to interact with, but it's more as an assistant or an agent that you can offload some of your work to it by giving it instructions, and it can work independently and deliver results. So I think that's it's worth also to mention that.
And where is this specific chatbot you're talking about? Does Streetbeat offer such a chatbot, or are there other tools?
It does. We offer exactly the experience that we're talking about, and it is all within the context of your current investments at Streetbeat. So if you create a brokerage account in our app, then the chat is aware of your risk profile, is aware of your investments, and will suggest all of those things. You can try experiment with it. We're improving it all the time. And one thing that I wanted to mention, that there is a huge release coming up in 2 weeks that will be really, we're having it right now tested internally to make sure that it's working very good. I'm super excited about this. It's going to be a gigantic leap in terms of analytic capabilities and data sets that we have connected. So you will have possibility to ask questions. Let's talk about stock research. What was the biggest drawdown of Apple and how fast did it recover? Okay, if I had a portfolio where I invest 50% in Nvidia, 50% in AMD for the last 5 years, what would be the result? What are the metrics of the portfolio in terms of risk-adjusted returns, the total returns? Compare me the ETFs in terms of holdings, how similar they are, and compare them. Just find me the best ETF that is following the S&P 500 index, and you're going to get the best ones in terms of liquidity, the best ones in terms of expense ratio, and all of this will be served and based on the data that we buy. So there is a lot of new things coming up, a lot of things already live. So I encourage everyone to just try it out with just being cautious. Just as I mentioned, try to put it inside of your investment process and see how you like it, and just follow the improvements that we make. Because eventually, I don't want to go into the future too much, but eventually, I feel that this is the way to go, and this kind of tools will replace 90% of research and investment discovery.
Amazing, thank you. And then maybe one final quick question before I move on to audience Q&A. On that note, if there's anyone here that has a question for our host, please be sure to put it in the Q&A box, and we'll get to them very shortly. So my last question, and perhaps an important one when discussing any exciting opportunity in technology and so on, is what are some of the risks associated with relying on AI for investment decisions, and how can they be mitigated?
Mm-hmm. It's a very good question. So I think there is no silver bullet. So even if you think about the human financial advisors, that really, can you trust 100% on their stock pick? I don't think you can. So you always have to be cautious and do your research and try to understand what you're seeing on the screen. Okay, whether what someone is telling you. The well-known issues with the LLMs, because this is the engine that drives everything. It's the generative AI, ChatGPT kind of technologies that is driving all this progress. And of course, they're still having issues with the hallucinations, being confidently wrong. So always double check what you see. It has limited reasoning capabilities, limited planning capabilities. So there are a lot of things that if you go directly to ChatGPT and try to talk directly with ChatGPT, you'll get all these issues in your face. Okay, you have to be careful and conscious that this can be happening. When it comes to how to mitigate them, first thing is to do a deterministic check. So if you see that AI is coming up with some facts, we can check those facts with the data sources. Okay, so we are sure that it's sourced from the data set that is trusted, and that is exactly if you ask about PE, for example, PE ratio for a stock, we can check if it's correct after it's gets spit out by the AI. But the way to go for the most AI kind of agentic assistant system is, it sounds a bit silly, but it works really well, is for AI to check upon AI. So typically you're going to get one LLM or multiple LLMs that work on completing your tasks, like doing this analysis. And there is another one that will take the response, look at the conversation, what kind of data sets it pulled from to get the analysis done. It will look at the conclusions, and it will see if the data has been taken from the data sources, it wasn't hallucinated. It will check if the data points returned are correct by doing another query. If I'll see that the Apple biggest drawdown was between during the COVID, it will pull the dates. The other AI will pull the dates, will check the prices and compare if the results is okay. Right now the mitigation is deterministic checks and AI checking upon AI, which works very very well, to be honest, surprisingly well if you think about the architecture of one robot checking another one's work. I think you're on mute, Rita.
Yeah, sorry. I said it sounds like we're living in the year 2100, robots checking up on robots. I love that, but thank you so much for that. I want to move on now to audience Q&A, and without further ado, I'll start off with the most upvoted question first from Emma. What are the main platforms for AI trading of shares?
For AI trading of shares, so of course I'm not going to surprise you if I'll tell Streetbeat that, but I'm not sure. I'm following the competition and the players on the market, and I don't think I've seen any tool that allows you to research, find a stock, and then execute the trade on the same place.
Okay, and then our next question comes from Ali. How effective are AI-based trading platforms like Streetbeat in mitigating losses during major market downturns, such as stock market crashes? Do these platforms eliminate the need for traditional risk management tools, such as stop-loss orders?
No, they don't yet. So you still have to be careful about your investments. If for Streetbeat right now, we are providing the portfolio and single stock trading and portfolio building and execution of the portfolio and monitoring of the portfolio later. In long only, and the help that the tools, automatic tools that you're going to get for the risk mitigation is one, when you build a portfolio based on some thesis inside of the Streetbeat, you're going to get a diversified portfolio. Okay, so that's one. You're not going to go, AI will not suggest you a single stock to invest. It will have a preference of ETFs that are matching your investment criteria, or it will go into the basket of stocks. So that's one. Another one is that if you build a portfolio, you can decide to choose our automatic rebalancing option. And the automatic rebalancing option will ingest all the data that were used to create your portfolio, but it will do it on the continuous basis. And if you'll see that there is a fact coming up that is not matching your investment criteria for some stock, for example, or the price targets went down, or there was a bad earning call, or whatever, it may decide to reduce to rebalance the portfolio by reducing to exposure to more risky stock. So this is those are the tools that we employ to help you with the risk management.
Sounds fascinating. And then our next question, slightly long, but we'll go through it. Revolut has made available a robo-advisor for managing a portfolio of stocks, bonds, etc., tailored to your risk preferences. How do you see tools like this in terms of maturity and, being hands-off on the investment management versus other more specific tools where you retain control? Do you perceive big investment houses coming up with these tools and overcoming the more boutique fintech AI tools for investment?
I've seen the Revolut thing. I've seen it. I didn't try it. I think that it's still kind of a approach of few other players on the market, which is get a very simple questionnaire and assign you to one of the strategies that they have. Like they may have 3 or 4, which is high risk, medium risk, low risk, or whatever, and they already have it predefined. It's not something that is fully dynamic. But I didn't get into too much details of it. And still that we're still that we are right now in the middle. I think it will be fully of your investment life will be in the future fully offloaded to AI. I don't think we're still there. So I would say semi-automatic is the right way to go at this point.
Thank you. And the next question comes from Leonardo. Can we use the app, and I'm assuming this means Streetbeat, just for gathering information, or is it required to make a deposit to use the app? More specifically, can I still work with my actual broker and use your app solely for my investment analysis?
So you can. The app is subscription based. That's the only requirement to use it. Right now, we don't have an option. If you can create portfolios without the requirement to deposit. I will still encourage it just to test it because it can save you a lot of time if you have it all within one platform because the execution part is handled for you. But you can create portfolios. The one thing that wouldn't work for you is the rebalancing. You have to be invested in a portfolio to get the rebalancing, automatic rebalancing working. Mute.
Classic. 4 years into COVID and doing online meetings and the classic Zoom
But
error.
I
All right.
but I feel that at least right now I feel that the people are connecting on time. I don't know. I think it changed during the COVID. Typically, before I
Uh,
had to wait 10 minutes to get the people.
that's true. That's true. So the next question comes from Lisa. Is the major problem not the lag of time between the information available and the execution of trades, and how can that be overcome?
That's a very good question, and that's the one that I often get. Is I don't think you should be thinking about tools like Streetbeat to be hedge fund style, super high frequency trading platforms because it's not that. I believe I'm absolutely sure that there are tools that are aiming for that market. We're more for the long term investments, and the information lag is in the long term investing it is not as a major factor as in super high frequency. But I understand your question. If we rebalance the portfolio after the bad earning call, then the stock will be already down, and you're rebalancing, reducing the exposure after the stock is already down by, I don't know, from 5 to 3%, for example. And that is true. But if the earning call was bad, and the stock doesn't look good in the future from the valuation perspective, then probably it makes sense to reduce the exposure, and the market responded by lowering the price. So in the long term, it may make sense to reduce the exposure anyway, but you're not going to capture this immediate move, which we of course would all love to capture all those gigantic moves based on the news being released.
Yeah, and those, high frequency traders who try to plug their computers as close as possible to the stock exchange. We're never going to outcompete those guys, that's for sure. A next question comes from Nate. How do you mitigate the risk of manipulation if everyone is using the same AI bots which provide the same information?
I think that it's worth to research the tools that you're using, because if this market is regulated by SEC, and I think they're doing a good job. So we have an RIA license, so we're a registered investment advisor with SEC, and it comes with the compliance requirements, and you have to report on a lot of things. You report all the trades. Me and Damian and all my colleagues who have access to any trading data, etc., they have to report all their trades and everything. So there is an oversight on this. The risk is still there, but there is an oversight for regulated entities.
Definitely reassuring to know. I think we are pretty much out of time. But that was super useful. Amazing to see the audience Q&A. Really good questions. And Maciej, obviously, thank you so much for taking the time to answer them. And just wanted to highlight one thing before we kind of kick off, which is, our biggest event of the year is fast approaching, and you can now pre-register for your Modern Investment Summit ticket. So this 2-day event happening on the 3rd and 4th of December is packed with back-to-back sessions and workshops led by the biggest names in finance, and is the perfect opportunity to elevate your investment knowledge and network with fellow retail investors. So please pre-register for your ticket using the link shared in the chat. And one last thing before we let you go, as you leave the event today, a pop-up survey will appear on your screen. Please take a few minutes to let us know what topics you're interested in hearing about at future events. Maciej, on behalf of myself, Finimize, and the entire Finimize community, I want to thank you so, so much. That was incredibly insightful. I loved all your insights, all your answers, and I certainly learned a lot. I hope it's the same for all our audience tuning in. So thank you so much, Maciej.
Thanks, Reda, for having me, and thanks to everyone who dialed in. And yeah, I'm also on LinkedIn, social media, Twitter. So if you find guys something interesting or some questions that I didn't answer, you can reach out to me directly. I'm pretty responsive, and yeah, and I will welcome also some feedback from you right now about Streetbeat if you decide to try it out. And in 2 weeks after the major release, I'll also let everyone know, and I'll be love to hear a feedback about that. It was amazing, nice experience. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much once again. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy your afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.